Okay, so let's now start with Unity 3D. So let me first share my screen. And for those of you who downloaded Unity, before I start going into what Unity is and how we use it, I want to introduce you to Unity Asset Store. So Unity's Asset Store is what Unity uses for a lot of its developers to get free and paid assets off of. So like you have to get modders, you have to get animations, you have to get like different types of objects. You can look on it for it on Unity Asset Store so that you don't have to make everything from scratch. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So for this workshop, we'll be using the standard assets of the Unity Asset Store. And you can just look up standard assets, and if you download this and import it, we'll be able to use these assets. So you just click download and then import, and then you should be able to import them all. And then one thing is when you click play, there will be two scripts. Like I already downloaded it, so I can show you a bit of stuff while you guys are downloading it. And when you click play, make sure that it works. If it doesn't, there might be some errors because as you see, the standard asset store is from 2017. And because it's from 2017, I think 2 or 3 of the scripts are deprecated. One of them is called, I think, main activated menu. And the other one is called particle effect, like some script like that. When it errors, it'll tell you the script name. And if you double click on that, you should be able to delete the deprecated scripts because we won't be using that in this workshop. Okay. So while you guys, I hope, are downloading that, I'll go through the actual Unity layout. So Unity is a really useful engine. And what it does is it helps a lot of the developers develop applications, games, ideas. Like they can be from VR, they can be 2D, they can be 3D. It's made from developers for developers, so it's really like useful. And it's one of its best things that I think when I started out is it's easy to learn and it has great documentation so that a lot of people, whenever you need help, you can find it online or through sources. So now going into the actual layout so we can try to make something, we have a hierarchy. We have the project filers, we have the inspector, and we have the view. So let's start with the inspector. So you have objects in your hierarchy. And if you click on these objects, for example, the main camera, the inspector tells you the information about this. So we'll be going into depth about the transform. This is the camera. The camera is what we people use to actually look at the scene during the game. So this is what, like if I click play, you'll see the camera and what the view of the camera. So this is, right now we have a stationary camera and nothing in the scene, so this is what you see. And then there's a bunch of things you can add it to the camera and the effects. We also have directional lighting for lighting purposes. We won't be going much into lighting as this is a basics video, but if you want to find that, there are sources. And then this is the hierarchy is what, like we have a scene called demo, and the hierarchy is where you do all your work to put everything right in the scene. Then by adding scripts to it, you can make your entire game like flow together. So we will use a lot of the hierarchy in a lot of Unity projects. So get used to seeing that. Then you have your projects. So this is all your assets. So if you go here, you have your sample scene. So any of your scenes, I just made a scenes folder and called it demo, make a new scene. You start with a sample scene, doesn't matter. And then because we installed standard assets, you have your standard assets folder, and that's just all the things in there. Before I continue on, also, if you have any questions, just leave them in the Zoom chat or the YouTube chat, so that like if like as we go through the video and we're going to be making something, and like if you have any questions, please stop me so like I know where to elaborate and what people are having trouble understanding, so that I can help make the experience much better, I guess. Okay, so then well we have our hierarchy, we have our project, then I talked about the inspector. And in our console, this is what, like when we run, we can have debug.logs and we can have other information that pop up during runtime. Also, what will pop up here is your errors, your compilation errors, and any other errors from the system side that's trying to tell you need to fix. Then let's talk about, so we have 3 tabs up here. This is the scene tab, which we can work in to develop our game, like the game. So Then you have the game tag. So when you click play, this is where you'll be put. And we have three aspects. We have different aspect ratios that I'll be talking about later. And then we also have our asset store that you can get your assets off of again. So then you have different items up here. Like it's just like your normal file edit, like in Word file edit. You have your assets where you can also create stuff. Your game objects, you can like, it's another aspect in the scene where you can create things. Then you have your components. So this is like what you can edit, your meshes, your effects, your physics, your navigation. Then you have your window. So this is where you get your layouts from. So like right now I'm in default layout, but you can have force split, tar, like it depends on who you are. So like this is basically the entire Unity layout. And then we have these tools that we'll be going in specifically later. So let's start by first creating something in our scene because our scene is a bit dull, right? So we'll start off by creating a 3D object, let's say a plane for now. So now if I just double click on my plane, I can go there, right? So now like we can see these tours. So we have the pane tour, which you can actually use to like just move around in your scene, like right, left, and move your scene around, right? Then you also have, this is the move tool for specific objects. So see, I can move this object right, left, in all three dimensions. So this is also your axes, X, Y, and Z. And then you have your rotate tool. So you can rotate this certain amount, like whatever you want, depending on how you're creating a scene. You also have this is your scale tool. So if you want to make the object bigger or smaller, like as such. You can also do it by the corners, so like using this. This is mainly used for UI this tour, the rect tour, and then you like move, rotate. That's just a combination of the tours, and then it's basically all you need to know. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our transform. I'm just going to reset it, and I reset it to 0, 0 because if you notice when I first made the plane, I was at a weird positioning, like. So yeah, you just reset it, and it just automatically resets the plane to its standard dimension 0, 0, 0. 0 rotations and a 1, 1, 1 scale. Okay, so today we're going to start with trying to make, I don't know if you guys heard of the game Rocket League before, but basically if you don't, we're going to be trying to make a rundown version of it, which is basically like we have soccer, but instead of people, we have cars. If for those of you who, yeah, don't know the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our standard assets. So as I said, like using standard assets helps us like able to make, use other models to make our own game for completely free. And then I'm just going to take the car from the standard asset folder. And what we can see is we can take this car, put it on, and now we have a car, right? And the great thing about some of these assets, specifically this one, like this one looks pretty good. And you can actually like, we're just playing now to see how it looks. So it comes with its own sound, and you can like move it, and except it fell off, right? Because that's all our scene was. So we're going to try using this to make the game. These are all the scripts. If you want to edit any of these, feel free to, but make sure you don't do anything like excess, because like some of the scripts are linked together. So if you screw up one or even a number, like a lot of things will screw up. For example, like if I just add 3 zeros here, now the car won't even move no matter how fast you go. So like, be careful when you're editing scripts that aren't your own, is what I'm saying. Now let's move on. Like I'm just gonna make this, unpack this prefab because before it was a prefab, but I want to use it in my scene. And we're gonna start by actually trying to make the map. So we're gonna try scaling it. You can also use the transform. So you know how like I use the move tool here on the scene. You can also use the transform specifically to change the numbers and move it depending on the numbers here. So I think for now what we'll do is we'll start by making the terrain a bit better, like a bit bigger so the car doesn't just fall off randomly. And we're also going to try to make some wars. So we're just going to use planes for that. So one thing you can do for scenes for quick, like, so we'll call this ground, for example. And then another thing we'll do is we'll just take this and we're just going to make our wars out of planes quickly. So we'll just duplicate it. So in order to do that, you can either just right click on it and duplicate, or you can just do Control D. So you just click on it, Control D, and it'll make another one, and then Control D, and it'll make another one, and then Control D, and it'll make another one, right? And I'm just going to quickly make up some wars so that we can have a map, right? And then I just have this, I just call this wall. And then what I do is actually just delete this so I can have a proper naming scheme and just Control D, Control D, Control D. We got 4 wires, so the 4 wires we're going to need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. I'm going to use my move tool. So this is a good opportunity to try to use the tools that we have. Bring this up a bit. We want a rotation of 90. Not there, 90. Let's do off the X first. And then we'll make this a bit smaller, obviously. And we'll do something like that. Okay. So one thing to also notice here is you can, if I look at this plane, right? You see how it disappears when it goes from to the back side, but you can see it on the front side. I'll also move the shadow so you guys can see it a bit better. So here, like, I just actually rotate. For example, let's say this one. So you see how it's like transparent from the bottom, and like you can see it from the top. That's because planes in Unity have a mesh on it, and it's meshed on one side. So you need to remember that the direction that you're facing the plane will allow you to see it or not see it. Right? Okay. So let's continue with this. Quickly make some wires here. We'll make this like just 4, like some 5, and then like 2 or something. And then we have a wall here. We'll push this to the back. Also, what you can also do is you can hold Control down, and what I do is I'll snap to like positions depending on your snap settings. And I'll just make this like 1 and try and put it more down. There we go. And yep, that looks pretty good. And actually, I just take this. And now we just take this wall, and we're just Control duplicate that. And with this, now we just have to do a 180 here. And now we have, the reason I did the 180 is because now we can see it from the front side. So we have these 2 wires done. And now you do the last 2 wires. So you do Control D, Control D. And here you have, so now we're just doing 90 and push this to this wall. Yep. And push this a bit closer, and then obviously we need to scale this up a bit. So we'll have like this be 10. And then push this closer to this wall. Just trying to snap it in place. That looks good. So now all I have to do is Control D this wall, and then do the 270. And now we just take this and put it on this wall. Okay, so now if I quickly click play, we can see that I'm in the scene. So what I want to do is like my car is not following you, right? So I just look at it in the scene now, and you can see that I can move it now, and I won't fall off the edge, right? That's the first thing we did. Now we want to see how our camera is not following the car, which is something it needs to do in like the game. So we're going to start with actually making our camera follow the car. But what we also know is that in the game, or like if you don't know, there's 2 things. There's a bar cam, and there's also a car cam. So I'm going to start off with trying to actually just have it follow the car, which is pretty simple. All we need to do is create empty. So the empty object is one that only has a transform. So we can see that when we create other things like directional light has a light on it. the main camera has a camera on it. But the empty object, it's just a simple transform. So we can use it to do like many other things. So like what we're going to do is we want to call this our car camera rig. And I'm just going to go in the scene. I'll put this back and go back to the scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this camera rig in the place where like we want our camera to be on this, to try and actually script the camera rig to it. So just to make it look kind of nice, we'll put -10 here. So now it's like behind the car, and we'll just move it up like to, yeah, 2.5. Okay. Now we have a camera rig, right? But we want the camera to actually follow the car. So you can either like just simply put the camera on the back of the car like so, and then have it follow like something like this. So as you can see, the camera is now following the back of the car. But in our game, we want to have it in 2 different settings. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to have a camera rig, and we're going to have a script on the camera that allows it to actually like follow the back of the car. So let's try making our first script, and let's also make sure that like we can keep a folder called scripts for organization purposes. We go into our scripts, and then we create our C# script, and we'll call it camera controller. Okay. So then starting here, what we'll do is we'll open it in Visual Studios. So you guys are following. Then we'll open our camera controller script and let it load. And open. Yep. So what you see is in any script when you start it up, you have 2 functions that comes up. One is void start, the other is void update. So void.
Make sure you change your screen share, because we can only see the Unity screen right now, not your.
Oh, you can only see the Unity thing? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll just stop sharing and try sharing again. Can you see the Visual Studios now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So we see that there's 2 functions here. One is void start, which is only called, as it says before, once before the first frame update. And then the update function is called once per frame. There's also other things like late update, which is called after each update. So if you want to do something after, like to make sure it's done last in the frame, then you do late update. There's also fixed update, which is used for like if you want a specific event at a specific time each time, then you use fixed update. And like then there's like other obvious like other functions that we'll be using. There's also triggers, which we'll get to. So what we're going to do, yeah. So we're gonna first start by getting our camera rig, right? And what we'll do is we'll do public game object. We'll get our car camera rig. And we'll also, while we're at it, we'll get the car object. And then what we'll also do, yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll make an update function. So a lot of the functions in Unity, you want to learn to start using, even if it's simple functions, to try to use it's a lot of functional programming. So what we want to do is we'll take the transform. Like what transform.position does is it gets the position of the transform, like of the object that the script is placed on. So the script will be placed on an object, and we'll get the position of it, and we'll set it to the, I hate intelligence. Okay. So you get transform dot position, and that will get the position of the object that the script will be placed on, and we'll set it to the car camera rig. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the camera controller onto the camera, and what we're going to do is in each frame we're going to set the position of the camera to the car camera controller. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do dot transform dot position. So the dot, like the position would be a vector 3, where there's the x, y, z dimensions. But then we also want to look at the rotation of the camera. And what we want to look at, transform dot look at. So the look at function takes a vector 3, which will look at a specific object. So right now we want to just look at the car as we move around. So I think after you code this and then you see it run, you guys will understand better. So then you do something like this. And that's just a simple 2 lines, and then you get your objects, right? And what we're going to do now, let the script load. We're going to put this on the main camera. Right? And you see that we have 2 components here. So we want to add the car camera rig. So we can just simply take the car camera rig and put it into the object as a reference to the object. And we want to take the car and we'll put it there too. Got it properly. Now you can use the start function and actually like properly go through your hierarchy and not have to use public variables. But in terms of hackathon, where you have a short amount of time, you want to get the most done. Like I'm trying to like have you guys quickly get a finished product. So like, yeah. So now, wait 1 second. What we forgot to do is we have to actually call the function. So you see we have an update, but we never called it. So what we want to do is we want to car update car cam. Save that script. Then run it. So now you can see that the car is moving along with the camera, right? Okay. One thing before we get like continue on, like one thing that I don't like about this is like the colors. You guys can see like this is our gray. Who likes to look at this, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually try to put some colors to this. So we're going to create a folder. We're going to call it materials. So one thing you can do with materials, you can have like other pictures and images and sprites to put on these objects. But for right now, for the purpose of this workshop, I'll just show you how to make it just like some colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the material here, and let's call this red car or something, right? And what we can do is we can change this color to become red. But what you see is there's something like there's other effects there, but one of them is metallic. So this makes 0 and metallic means like it looks more like a plastic, whereas when you make it like more metallic, it looks more like a metal type thing. So I think our car wants to be like a bit metallic, right? Because cars are metal. And then what we'll do is we'll just make it a bit more rough, like a rough paint job. And then we just take this color, like you can see, that's how it looks, and we put it on the car, right? And we're also going to make some quick colors for like grass, because the soccer field is like green, right? Has grass on it, so like probably makes sense. Then like simple grass, right? And then I just make like the waters, I don't know, like some shade of white. And also what I'll do is I'll take the directional light. I don't like it like that, so I'll just do that. Because only one direction, I'll just do this, put that there. Take this, put that there, and then have this go like 180. Okay, now the wires are lit up, and what we're going to do is we want to make these wires like more light, I guess. So actually that's pretty fun, but we'll just make another material, call it like white wall or something, and we'll make it a bit more light type thing. Whatever. And yeah, so just put those in, And like, I don't know, just doesn't change the color much, but you can like, what I'm saying is you can change the color to whatever you want, right? So now let's actually try to get a ball in and see how that would work. So one thing we're going to actually do too is like, if you look at my hierarchy, it's not really like nice, not sorted. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty child. Make sure that, see how this transforms like really weird numbers. Sometimes it does that. You want to reset it. And we're going to call this like the word. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take like all of this stuff, put it in along with the directional lights, put that in. And now I can just close that. And now it's like looks much cleaner, right? And now for our car, right? So we're going to start with putting the actual, if we're going to play soccer, we kind of need to have a spherical ball in here. Make this a bit bigger. And you can just have it like that. So now you have a sphere and you can have a rigid body on it. So the reason we put a rigid body on it is for physics. So the rigid body adds like the balance, the like how the physics engine to the object, right? And what we're going to do is you can actually have like different freeze positions. You can like freeze this rotation depending, like for example, if you have a character and you're trying to run through like an object or a forest, you don't want them to just far down and like lay flat on the ground, right? So you can actually freeze rotation on the X and the Z, so it can only rotate in the Y direction. So then like this allows you to do some things with that physics, and then yeah. So now if I click play, you can see that we have a bar, and you can move the bar, right? That's like 50% of Rocket League right there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually try to have the bar cam. So yeah, we'll start with that. One thing we need for the bar cam is, actually I'll show you first, and then you guys will get to quickly see what's wrong with just having like, just changing it so it just looks like the bar cam instead of the car. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this void car cam and we're going to make it update, instead of update car cam, we're going to make an update ball cam. We'll have the same car camera, we got the same position. But what we're going to do, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to have the, we're going to add a ball, right? And then we're going to have, instead of it looking at the car, it's going to look at the ball. So then this is like, should be the same thing, right? And what here is here, I have to update ball cam. So now it should have the same thing. All we need to do is, again, make sure we update the reference, the object references. So now I need a ball. So I'll just name this. And then we have this. And we'll put this quickly in here. And now we'll see what happens. So I can look at the bar, right? Oh, wait, what happened? So what you see is that the camera behind the car is always looking at the ball, but sometimes the car goes out of frame. So what you want to do is you want to actually rotate your camera to always be like, your camera should always rotate to be behind your car in a way that your camera, like your car is always between the ball and your camera, so that you don't like disorientate yourself. And that's how it's done in the game too. So in order to fix this, what we're going to do is we're going to actually add another object as a reference point, okay? So let's quickly do that. Try to take this down, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty object again, and we're going to call this, we'll call this our pivoted. And you can take this, actually, in order for you guys to see it, we're going to call it, we're going to make it a cube. Okay, we're just going to put it directly above. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. Actually, I'll make it 0.5. Okay, and just directly above the car. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make a new script. And we're going to call this pivot script because we're so original with naming. So in you notice something about Unity. Unity is not about making a lot of code. Usually it's about making smart scripts that you can attach to objects for them to finish like what they need to do. So like for example, in this script, all we want our pivot to look at is we want to look transform dot look at. So again, the look at function. And I'm going to have it look at the bar position. Okay. And what we're going to need to do though is we're going to have we actually need to have like a reference to the ball. Right? It's just a simple 2-line script, 1 line pretty much. And all you need to do is put this on, we'll call this the pivoter. Put this on that, just like that. Just like that. Okay, whatever. Pivot script, you add it, and then you put the ball as a reference. And now if I click play, wait, let me go back here and go to camera controller just so you can see it properly. I'm going to do update car cam now because we need to still fix our bar cam. And now that that's done, so if you can see, our cube is always facing towards that bar, right? As it rotates. So now we're going to use that cube as like an object, like a reference point. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty object inside of this. And we're going to call this the bar cam rig. And what we want to do so we want to have our them be at the same position normally. So we'll put this at like 0.25 because it's like only, if I did that math right. So 2.5 minus 2.35 is 0.15. So I have 0.15 and then we'll have -10. So then now what happens is we have our ball cam rig, which will rotate properly between the camera and the bar. And in order for like our box not to do anything, what we'll do is we'll take out the mesh render on object. So what we do is we just take out the mesh render and the box collider. So it's basically an empty object now. And now it's just like that. Okay. And now we have a bar cam rig. So now with this bar cam rig, we go back to our controller. And now here we have a ball cam rig. And now what we're going to do is instead of doing to the car cam rig, we're going to have a bar cam rig. And now we just need to put a reference there. Oh, and I'll also update this instead of update car cam, update bar cam. Save it. And now what we can see after it loads, you go to camera, you go to bar cam rig, and you put the bar cam rig there, and that should be good. So you see that the bar is there now. Now if I go around the bar, I can still see my car properly, right? Do you guys see that? Okay. Now that we got our cameras done, we should try to have like a button or something that switches between these two cameras. So in order to actually get like input from the keyboard, you can use input.keyDown. If you need, you can go into like Unity documentation and see like, so if you go Unity documentation, it's input.getKeyDown. And you can see like a bunch of documentation here, which makes Unity really helpful, right? So if you need anything there, like any buttons, you can get that. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to fix up this script so that we can easily switch between car cam and bar cam. So what we're going to do is we have a private. So this is what we're going to like store our current rig as. So we'll switch between the car camera and the bar camera. And what we'll also do is we'll have our current target. So this will switch between the car and the ball, right? And then you also have your private, so we'll just have it as a mode, I guess. And we'll call it like car camera, I guess, right? And then when we start, we can want to have current rig. And that's, we're going to have that equal to like, we'll start with the car camera, I guess. So we're going to have that start there. And then that means the current target has to be the car. And now on update, all we're going to do is we're going to switch the cam view. So what this will do is it'll check if we want to switch the cam view. And what we'll do is we'll make a function here called void switch cam view. And we'll check if we'll have it be the space, just because why not? Get key down. So what this does is if you click down on the space, this will become true, right? So what we want to do is we just want to switch mode. So if mode equals car cam, that means we want to go to bar cam mode. I call this just car cam. That means we make the mode equal to ball cam. And then we switch the target to the ball, and then we switch the rig to the bar camera rig. Right? And then otherwise, what we'll do is we'll make the mode the car cam. So that means like otherwise they click the space bar when they're on bar camera rig. So what we want to do is we want to switch the mode to the car camera, have the current target be the car, and we'll switch the rig to the car camera rig. So now here, right, now we don't need all these updates. All we need is update cam. And all we need to do with update cam is have our current rig, and this will be our current target. And now what we do is we have an update, right? Remember when I talked about void update, late update? So that'll start after the update. So now we do a late update, and we just do update cam. Okay. Now let's go back here. So this is the car camera, right? I click space, it goes to the bar camera. I click space again, it goes back to the car camera, and so on, right? Okay. So now we have like our movement with the car. We won't get into the jumping because, you know, who cares about the jumping. But what we want to try to do is see if we can get the gores in, right? So what we want to do is we want to actually create some, like, what do they call it? Like between the sticks or something. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the scene, create a cube. Again, we'll just reset it because, you know, I like putting it in weird positions. And put it here for a second. And now what we're going to do is we're going to try to create a goal, right? So we're going to scale this a bit. I think it's 50. Sound about right? So let's just take a closer look. And that's okay. So then you put that back. and then we'll make this like, I don't know, 10. We'll make this like 10. So now what we do is just put this straight on the wall. So now let me go back to our materials quickly. So like, 1 second, I kind of screwed up my view. So I'm just gonna go layouts, default one more time. So I'm back here. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go here, and we can see that we have a goal. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to materials here. We're going to create a material, and we're going to call it goal. Okay, material core mat. So let's have it like be a big green. But what we want to do is we want to make it, so you see how it was opaque? Now we're going to actually make it transparent. And we're going to change this. And when we put it on here, you can see that it's kind of transparent, right? I'll go back here, make the transparency a bit more, and move this a bit up. And now you have like a type of goal line technology, right? And what we're going to do is this, we're going to call our goal. We're going to duplicate this. And we're going to move this over here to the other side. So we have 2 goals, right? So now let's start trying to make this goal work, like actual scripts and stuff. And what we actually want to do before that is we want to try to have like when they score, we want to like have a like a circle spawner, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create empty. We're going to set it to like reset. Then I'm going to move it up. So what's the bar position originally? Which actually we should make this 0, 0, 0. Okay, cool. So we'll make this the bar spawner. So now you see that the bar spawner is in the bar at the beginning. And we're going to call this. Okay. So yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to make one quick new script. We're going to call it goal script. Double click on that. So what this is going to do is when like the ball hits the goal, we want the object to actually do something, right? So what we're going to do is ball game object, ball, and we're going to have a bar spawner. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually use a trigger event. So the trigger event, you can have multiple like events that are called in Unity. One of them is the trigger enter event. There's also like collision events, other things, but we're going to do this for now. And what the trigger event does when 2 objects collide with at least one of them having, with exactly one of them having the trigger event, the on trigger event would be card. And what we want to do is we want to have the bar.transform. We want to set this when like the ball hits the net to be the same position as the bar spawner. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the ball. So we're going to have a rigid body on the bar, because what happens is if we set the position of the bar just to be the bar spawner, the bar would still have a velocity and rotation, right? So we want to get rid of that. So in order to do that, we'll just do this. We'll get the component of the rigid body, which has, remember what I said, the rigid body has all the physics in it. So what we want to do is we want to take the rigid body and we want to set the velocity to 0. Now what we also want to do is we want to set the angular velocity to 0. Okay. And now what this is going to do is we'll just put this gore script on the ball. Yep. We actually don't even need the bar because it's going to be on the bar, so we can just do this. Actually, we're just going to keep that there. We're going to put it on the net instead because we don't want the collision event to be card every time with the car and like help with the speed of it. Okay. So what we're going to do, going to put this like this, have this on there, and we're going to have a gore script, so that goes on both of these. Just add a gore script, and add the ball back. Okay, save that there. This gets updated. So now we have a ball. So I put the ball there, and we have a ball spawner, and we have a ball, and then that should be for both of them, right? Yep. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to just click play. But we want to also make sure that the trigger events, so that has no trigger. The car, like you want to go into the colliders, these have no trigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to either put it on the bar or the nets. I'll do it on the nets, and then I'll do one thing to show you something. So I put the is trigger on the net. The ball has no is trigger, right? So what we can do, you can click play. So you saw that the ball went and got respawned there. But you see that when my car goes in the net, it keeps on respawning the bar, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the car does not actually cause the spawning, right? So in order to fix that, what we can do is we can go to the car, we can see these colliders, and we take these colliders, and what we'll actually do is we'll add a tag to it. So there are many things you can do. In Unity, one of them is add a tag, and we'll add a tag and we'll call it vehicle. So now all of these we're going to make them a vehicle tag, okay? And now what we can do with those is we can just check if the so the other is a get component. So we'll get the collider, and we'll check the tag if that does not equal car. I think we can actually do this too. This collider. Oh, I didn't get component collider. It's already a collider, yeah. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to just put that in the if statement. And now if I click play, oh, not car, we want vehicle, right? So you see I went in and the bar is not respawning. So now if I go back and forward, the bar doesn't respond, right? And then if I score, then the bar respawns. So like this is a fun game. Like you can also, what I did is I added some UI. So every time you score, you have a score count, and you can like up the score by 1, have it display that. And that's another thing you can add. One thing quickly, like really simple, because as you saw, like the bar doesn't go really fast. Like that really takes some of the fun out of the game, right? What you can do is you can add like a hit ball component. And what this does, we can use another trigger that we already learned about. And we can start with like this type thing. We have RB equals this, or just get component widget body. So now we have the widget body, which is for the physics, right? And what we can do is now we can use the other one, which is on collision enter. So whenever something collides with a ball, we're going to put this on the bar. We have a collision, and we'll call it hit. So we have a hit collision. And if the hit dot collider, remember how you have the tag? If that's the vehicle, that means the vehicle hit it. We'll just do RB, so we multiply the velocity by some constant. Make sure you multiply it by a float constant, because do that. And then you just do that. Put this ball object on the ball. So where's the ball? Just put this here. Yeah, so we get rid of the script because we actually don't have the Gore script on the ball. We want the hit ball component on it though. So we have that. So now if I were to actually like hit the ball, I respond. Like it actually goes farther, right? And it hits properly. Again, I'm not that good at Rocket League, but like you can see that now the bar like does not just like it actually goes farther, right? And you can play around with the numbers, and that's basically it. You can also add UI. So in order to add UI, just create UI, and you have like your canvas, and you can put text and stuff on it, play around with that. And that's Unity basics. So you know about the like different objects. This is the starting game. As far as getting used to Unity, one of my things was it's better to start with a simple game, like even just having objects far down, and like play along with Unity, and you get to learn more of it as you go on. So is there any questions that we can answer in the last 3 minutes of time we have here? I'll just stop sharing, I guess. Yeah, so like for the grass and like any other textures, you can actually just look up your own sprites. So like that's literally like 50% of Rocket League right there. And then like you can do like the other like UI, the smart stuff, right? And networking, if you guys ever want to get into that, I recommend like you can, if you ever like, you can get into the lower level stuff, but when you're actually doing like bigger games, you might want to use like something like Mirror, and that like is a networker for Unity, and it helps you along like every single step, and like it might be easier to go that way. Again, if you have any other questions, you put in the chat. I'll check the YouTube chat right now. Otherwise, it was fun having you guys learn. Yeah, any other questions? I'll still be in the Discord, so if you guys have any questions, you can also put it in there. Thank you.